some man came by who was interested in the idea and said that it was the type of thing that maybe should be entered into the entrepreneurial contest. I said, well, what's that?
The competition was originally conceived as a promotional vehicle for the MIT Entrepreneurs Club I had started a few years earlier. In other words, it was a publicity stunt that got out of hand and quickly took on a life of its own.
In today's semiconductor manufacturing world, particle contamination becomes the problem of the decade. My invention of the laser particle remover is direct to solve this problem.
At the event announcing the finalists, we wanted to make sure it was a celebration of everyone's accomplishments. So we had these t-shirts to give them. Richard Derling-Scheideroff made trays and trays of blintzes, and Toscanini's donated ice cream.
Process of going through writing a business plan. If you're an engineer, you'll understand a lot more about how companies actually run. And if you're a business person, I think you've learned some of the real nitty-gritty details of how companies work.
I think of it as a rehearsal. That is, that starting companies and being an entrepreneur is something you can learn. So the 100K is just a great big opportunity for people to get practice being entrepreneurs, learning how to sell, learning how to communicate, learning how to work like a team.
It's because they want to learn how to really do it. People's attitude here is we want to start and build real companies. And that real-world impact orientation is central to MIT and central to our 100K entrepreneurship competition.
For about 15 years, I guess, we've been sponsors. I have been involved as a judge, a mentor, a panelist, a coach, you name it. I think I've done it.
Well, overall, it was a great experience. It really kind of catapulted our company into existence.
The 100K is a great opportunity for us to get involved in the entrepreneurial community, hopefully give back to the entrepreneurial community, and just have a lot of fun learning about the interesting ideas that brilliant MIT students come up with.
Well, I've been rattling around the 100K for so long, I have a gazillion memories.
You know, I think about the people more than any particular event.
You're talking to somebody and it's clear that you have no idea what they're talking about, and they have no idea what you're talking about. But working through that and finding a common language to communicate.
And then there is the inconvenient fact that it's generally not the winning company that does the best in the future.
And Jonathan Seelig, who I recall falling asleep on stage when their presentation happened. Many more stories, I can't even remember them all.
We were advised actually by Bill Frezza from Adams Capital, who eventually a few years later became our first VC investor.
If you're actively involved in 100K, you really have a unique vantage point on coming trends. It's probably the closest that most people will ever come to having a crystal ball.
At least 7,500, 8,000 people, MIT students and friends who participate in this competition. Going forward, I want us to have the 1M, none of this 100K.
Trying to recruit him because I was like, hey, let's start a company together, and he totally blew me off. He's like,
he had all these ideas, and I was like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard.
For us to have had the opportunity to submit, get some feedback, iterate, try it out, deploy with customers. I mean, we did all of this sort of as the 50K was going on.
These business plan competitions like the 100K are helpful for instantiating your idea and putting the right people around you and the people to give you feedback on it to see whether, maybe it doesn't have anything to it, maybe it does.
I think for the 100K now, it's about, there's just so much intellectual horsepower that can be harnessed that if you could just focus it in for a particular amount of time, there just magical things can happen. We've raised over $30 million. We're about 55 people, I guess. Gone through just so many product launches. We've hundreds of customers, and it's pretty good. Literally, I can honestly say it changed my life, and maybe that's the thing that'll make it.
Right up there you can see our 100K check proudly displayed. If you were living in this house, this would probably be your living room. But for us, it's the office. So this is sort of the first floor, and this is where most of engineering happens. And then let's head to what I like to call the conference room. So right in here is actually my bedroom, but also the conference room. And you can tell it's a conference room because we have a speakerphone. And then right in here is our sales office. We make sales calls from here from time to time. The things that were most of value are really some of the conversations we've had with advisors that we've been connected with either directly or indirectly because of the 100K. To be totally candid with you, our expectations of winning were quite low when we first set out to do it. So I think, anything can happen. Well, I think it very much sort of made us a big blip on the radar of the Boston area and really in Silicon Valley as well, sort of venture capitalists. So our phones were definitely ringing post 100K. Now it's about focusing aggressively on the sales and marketing sides of things. How do we get from where we are to 10x where we are to 100x where we are?